Hello, everybody. It is I, Eden Ocean, joined by the wonderful Chizzy Fizzy, and we are here for the Solstice Esports Solstice Showdown. The match we are watching tonight is going to be seeded number 2, Lunaris, versus seed 15, Team Nova Scotia. And as you can see by their icon there, they proudly proclaim that Nova Scotia, in fact, exists. Chizzy.
Well, you're from Canada, so that's repping your home country, at least. I know you're not from Nova Scotia specifically, but for those that don't know, a tiny province of the big country of Canada on the eastern seaboard of that country. So it is, along with I think I think it's probably the second smallest province there. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eden, but excited to see the talent out of here.
It's suitably sized. Prince Edward Island would be the smallest, as it's just an island. But Nova Scotia, way on the coast there. Believe it's our farthest easterly province. Wonderful place to check out, and perhaps I don't know much about it. All I know is that the people hail from there. We call them Newfies, and
Newfies.
they talk.
Okay.
Yeah, Nova Scotians are Newfies, and they talk like this, don't you know? Actually, I don't know. They sound like very kind of like. It's hard.
French people?
No, they sound like uber Canadian. It's hard to describe.
Okay.
It's like, oh, how about that, eh? So like that's when you think the generic Canadian accent, you're thinking of a Nova Scotian.
Well, from our generic Canadian accent of Team Nova Scotia on tank, Titan and Tricky Zerg, DPS Rain and Thunders, and then on support are Dr. Grim and Exalted. So that is the starting lineup here today for the very, very, very stereotypical Canadians, as Eden.
Oh yeah, and on the side of Lunaris, we've got Bulby, Pure, Light, Tuna, Noctis, and Sluggo.
I want to give a special shout out to each of these teams and say thank you for having very, very simple to pronounce names, very short names. We greatly appreciate everything that you do. And I do want to emphasize, unless I could be wrong, but
we could be pronouncing them terribly wrong.
Oh no, 100%. I could be wrong about this, but Rain, the DPS for Team Nova Scotia, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's not Rain from the Los Angeles Valiant, the fantastic rookie support player. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that is not the Rain that some of you may be thinking of. Excited to see how this Rain plays, specifically in the DPS role. Lunaris is the 2 seed. Nova Scotia is the 15 seed. So coming into this, Lunaris, just based off of pure sports knowledge, they are specifically in favor of winning this one. They are the second seeded team in this entire tournament. So we'll see. They are the favorites going into this, but I'm sure Team Nova Scotia probably has something to say about that. I'm sure the Canadian pride will come out of them.
Yeah, you never know what these Canadians are going to pull out. They are going to be out till the final quarter. We own the fourth. Common Canadian Toronto Raptors expression. Being from Toronto, I don't know too much about our easterly acquaintances, but as a Canadian, I have to root for them. The underdog, Lover and Me, up against the very powerful second seed Lunaris. And these seat numbers are not arbitrary at all. They actually have been hand-selected by the community surrounding Solstice and the Tier 3 community as well. So they should be a potentially accurate representation, but that being said, it's hard to determine how big the gap is from seat number 1 to the final seat. We've had some interesting matchups already, with one team already dropping out of the competition due to the insurmountable skill of some of these higher up teams. So it's going to be interesting to see what these lower bracket teams can do to hold their own.
I'm excited to see what happens as we take a look at the bracket here. Region and Cloak, the 1 seed advancing, and the 8 seed, the 2 higher seeds in those games advancing. Same thing with the 4 and the 5. They also advance. Our 0 as the 5 seed. I would assume that's Propel as the 4 seed. Nocturnal advances as a 3. Dub Nation, they rolled their competition as the 11 seed. They are the first upset win of the tournament and disbanded. I believe Eden had talked about it. The team that had forfeited, disbanded, got that automatic win against the 7 seeds. So now we will see what happens going into our TBA match, which you see disbanded will play the winner of this match here today between Lunaris and Team Nova Scotia. So very interesting, but I think the biggest story so far out of the showdown has been Dub Nation being able to make that huge upset with their win as the 11th seed.
Yeah, absolutely here. And you never know what these lower seeded teams are going to pull out because on paper, a team's skill, maybe their SR is a big factor in their evaluation, is not so intrinsic to how well they are going to perform in these team environments. You never quite know what kind of strategies, compositions, fundamentals these different teams can bring to the table as we open here on Lijiang Tower Gardens. We're going to see the Symmetra teleport from the side of Lunaris as they get into the action quite early here. We're watching with Tuna on the Echo as the fight breaks out into the side of the dojo on the right hand here as we watch the fight break out. It looks like the side of Team Nova Scotia are looking to not engage first. They want to be making the second move, but with that, a huge pick from Rain is going to take Bulby down.
So it looks like they're both running variations of dive here. Bulby is on the Winston while Titan is on the Wrecking Ball. Both teams running a Diva, both teams running the same support line. Difference is the Wrecking Ball and the Sombra on the side of Team Nova Scotia, what seems to be paying off here is they're able to take at least close to first possession. They're on the point here with more numbers. And then on the side of Lunaris, there's just not enough damage. Tuna's really the big damage dealer here. It just seems to not be getting these great angles with these indoor around this pagoda.
Yeah, Exalted. He was very quick to build up this nano boost here, so we're watching with him, and it'll be interesting to see who it goes on to if he decides to invest it at all. So it looks like the objective will be captured here for the side of Team Nova Scotia taking an early lead. This is a great start for Underdog Squad, but just as I say, that Titan will fall down to the hands of Tuna. Here comes the rally, and the Echo Duplicate as well onto the Diva. Tuna looking to quickly build up the self-destruct and do some defense here on the point, as Sluggo will be the next to fall. Lots of the healing now gone from Lunaris as this Underdog team continues to pop off. Rain with a nice pulse bomb, finding two.
There was an absolutely huge hack from Thunders onto Tuna as the duplicated Diva. Tuna had the bomb, but wasn't able to use it because Thunders was able to hack him out of it before, so turn into Baby Diva without having to use anything. That ultimate goes to complete waste, and now 40% and counting up here for Team Nova Scotia, and Thunders has the EMP online. There is nothing to counteract this.
Yeah, here it is. We're just watching along with Thunders as he's looking for an opening. Here it is. Isn't going to be canceled. Follows through. Exalted will fall early, though. Bulby gets the Feist pick on them. He's using the Primal Rage now, trying to bring everyone off of the point as progress is starting to flip over for the side of Lunaris. We're watching with Bulby as he gets these last few final blows here on the objective. Very difficult for the side of Nova Scotia to stay back into such an aggressive push, investing that Primal Rage to knock everyone back.
Just to switch over here for Lunaris. I mean, if you're Team Nova Scotia, 65%, you'll take that. Because at this point, you're one team fight win away from being in the final fight. All you have to do is win this, and then you take control, and then it's basically final fight territory for Lunaris. But they're set up here with a nano boost bomb and a pulse bomb as well. They should be set up here for a solid defense. I think Nova Scotia should just push in, potentially look for some ult charge here, but it looks like, yeah, Lunaris going to come out on top. Pulse bombs traded out, Brigida's both dead, but it's just back and forth here.
Yeah, Bulby will receive the nano boost there, trying to defend from that side. We usually call it the white side, but looks like Lunaris is going to be able to hold strong this push around. They have the advantage of the Brig playing on point defensively. Noctis doing a great job. As you can see, he's 70% to his next rally. Here comes the Diva Bomb, though. Doesn't get to find anything. It's a nice block by Bulby here, as Pure is on the back line trying to shut down the On. It's nice sleep, but he will eventually fall. Exalted now out of this scenario. Most of the healing now gone. This is basically an easy fight win for the side of Lunaris if they're able to hold on to this fight. We see Tricky on the point with the Diva. He's got the bomb. He wants to make something happen, but Tuna finding one on to Dr. Grimm. That isn't looking too good for the side of Nova Scotia.
Exalted committed the nano boost, I believe, onto Tricky Zerg. I'm a little confused as to why. Might have been a panic click. I know Exalted was about to go down, but you could have used that there. You would have 5 ultimates to push in, and Thunder is very close to an EMP. You could have had almost a 6-stack to push in for final fight, but perfectly okay. You're about to have Rally here. Rally going to come out from both sides. It's going to be very hard to kill either of the opposition.
Yeah, they're trying to make a big push through the white
Sluggo
room
down,
there as Lunaris is going to be able to encapsulate them from behind. Rain finds another great pulse bomb. He's really been a hero on the Tracer so far. Sluggo down. This is 97% and going up here over time now, but the point is going to flip. Everyone from Lunaris, they did fall quickly. It was a nice play by Titan on the Wrecking Ball, using the mines early, zoning everyone off the point. And now, in famous Chizzy words, we're heading into last fight territory.
My famous words, yes, coined by me specifically, nobody else. I started the phrase, but no, I think the best thing here for Nova Scotia is Thunders has the EMP. He can use this to counteract it. Nano Boost out onto Bulby to start off the fight immediately. They want to dive in, but he slept immediately. Exalted, great job, and he uses Nano Boost onto Tricky Zerg.
Yeah, the progress going through. Unfortunately.
Both support's dead.
Both supports dead. Huge plays by Light and Pure on the objective. Here, Overtime Wick burning down, and that's it. First, Garden does go to the side of Lunaris, although it looks so strong from the side of Nova Scotia to begin. Hopefully, we have ourselves an even match.
I don't know what happened there. I mean, you normally, when you look at team fights and you look at ult advantage, and when you look at a support line of a Brigitte and an Ana, and you see that the opposition has an EMP, I would venture to say 9 times out of 10, the team who has the EMP is going to win that fight. That was a rare case to where that didn't happen. Both supports went down first for Team Nova Scotia. That was a great job by Bulby diving in as the Winston, being able to kill both of those supports. As we move on to Night Market here, both teams switching it up, running Sim Mei and a double shield composition with a Reinhardt and an Orisa.
Yeah, it's going to be who can get the beam from the Sim up first, get to the value. Thunders, we're watching along with him as he finds massive damage all throughout the backline here. Is going to be, look, 90% already to that Photon Barrier. That's a huge gap over Light, who's only 60% on his in turn. Now, with the defense, Symmetra thriving in this position, it's going to be very difficult for the side of Lunaris to break into this defense. As once again, Nova Scotia showing that they have a very strong first aggression push.
So we saw this last time. Team Nova Scotia was able to get first control on Gardens. They came out well, but they weren't able to finish it off. They're in a much better spot here. Photon Barrier already out along with the Amp Matrix. Both Reinhardts have their shatters. Titan used his, only caught Light. Counter shatter comes out, only catches one. Both Reinhardts traded out.
Yeah, this looks like an easy hold for the side of Nova Scotia. And it was a great Maywall, too, by Rain. They actually tried to open with a Fire Strike Baptiste Ant Matrix combo from Lunaris, but it was blocked by the Maywall, potentially saving countless squishy lives in that push alone. And once again, like we were saying before, just having that defensive advantage is going to be so strong for the side of Nova Scotia. And they didn't even have to use their strongest ultimates. They have the Supercharger, but they can win a fight with alone, as well as, of course, Blizzard, one of the strongest individual ultimates in the game. And they have both beats. So I'd be surprised to see if Lunaris can even make a dent in this defense. They're going to have to go in quick.
So interesting thing is Light was trying to use the TP bomb, essentially. Both beats, both Blizzards, everything has been throwing out. Exalted, the first one to fall, but Light traded up. Both Symmetras down. It's in favor of Lunaris right now, but it's trading back out. What is happening? Team Nova Scotia able to come on the top. Rain clicks both supports' heads right now. It is just Pure chilling right here, 85% and counting up. He's going to get staggered out. This is not looking good for Lunaris.
Yeah, the big thing to point out is before Tricky Zerg fell, he actually put his Bongo down, his Supercharger, in a fresh shield, and that Supercharger lasted the entirety of that fight, giving Nova Scotia that humongous edge. They weren't able to deal with it. Now, switching on to the Desperation picks, you see the Wrecking Ball and the Doomfist as well. Light and Tuna have already fallen. A nice freeze onto Bulby is going to immobilize him. And with Overtime Wick burning down, it's last-ditch efforts for the side of Lunaris. They need to find someone to touch the point. They don't have anything to work with now, Chizzy. I don't think they have a chance. It's just Noctis now. He would be the next to fall. You see, there's Tuna on the point with the Tracer now, nowhere close to the Pulse Bomb.
It's a Hail Mary attempt at
nice pick by Light.
Light finds Thunders. It's not going to matter. It's really not going to matter. One Doomfist against 5 players focusing him down. It's not going to happen. It was a great pick. Good, valiant effort by Lunaris. Just doesn't work there. I'm pretty sure Thunders had a Photon Barrier every single fight. I'm almost positive that happened, and that is absolutely ridiculous. That shows how strong Symmetra is on Night Market. And we could even see Symmetra come out here on Control Center. Two of my favorite heroes to play on Control Center if you're a damage dealer, not in tandem, but separately. You're either a Symmetra on Control Center or Junkrat on Control Center. There is so much damage that can be pumped out on Night Market and Control Center with very niche off-meta heroes. So I'm excited to see what either of these teams decide to come out with here on Control Center.
Yeah, I actually think Symmetra does Junkrat's job maybe even a little bit better here. Of course, having that close range capability and with the recent buffs to her alternate fire, doing 140 damage for full charge right click can be very devastating to teams that play grouped up. Symmetra, of course, being amazing against shields, not having to reload when firing against them, and going up to a comp with double shields is a perfect strategy, but they both opted for the Mei. This time around, Thunders is on the Reaper, Light is on the, Light is on the Reaper, Thunders is on the Creep, but it's a Shatter, and Ant Matrix is from both sides as well. These Baptistes have been doing so much healing. It looks like Nova Scotia has the edge again, but Light has something to say about it, finding 2 on the tail end.
I mean, this should go in the favor of Nova Scotia, and it will, but my good, these Reinhardts, I'm pretty sure it's all W and left click for these guys. They've been swinging hammers, hitting fire strikes left and right. Pure's gonna have his Shatter coming into this fight. Dr. Grimm still a ways away from that sound barrier, so there is an opportunity here for Lunaris to easily take back this point, but it's gonna be tough behind these 2 shields to Shatter.
Big halt Shatter combo, but it looks like most of the damage was blocked. Here's a Fire Strike, is going to take out Thunders, trying to get aggressive with the pin here. Supercharger comes out from Tricky. Doesn't look like it's going to quite be enough. Lunaris is bringing the heat. They're making their way onto the payload, and they didn't have to invest anything to make that fight happen.
I think you look at that and say, we use Shatter, was able to catch out a couple people, didn't get the final blows off them, but got them down, killed some of the momentum there, and you also force Tricky Zerg to use his supercharger in that fight too, so he loses that. I think that's best case scenario there for Lunaris. They now have 5 ultimates online, and with how fast Pure's been building up his charge, oh my god, he charges Rain off of the Blizzard. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, and Tuna did a great job putting a Mei wall right behind him so that he wouldn't overextend with his pin. Really quick reaction times from them. This fight breaks out as a Death Blossom comes out from Light to take down a few with a nice halt as well, coming from the side of the Orisa player Bulby there. We're going to be relatively even in percentages now as we head into the 30s marker, but of course, this type of map is always going to benefit the defenders. This tiny choke, this is why we talk about the presence of Symmetra and Junkrat, is because it's so hard to get through this tiny door. We saw that a new Lunaris on their push, they actually opted to go around to the high ground right side, and it looks like Team Nova Scotia's got the same idea.
But Tuna's going to invest this Blizzard here to potentially try and stop them.
Yeah, Tuna did a great Mei wall. He was cutting off all the backline there. Immortality Field comes out, though, from Exalted, trying to keep some people alive. It's not doing that good of a job, though, as it eventually will expire. Lots of damage coming in from Pure on the Reinhardt swinging array, taking everybody down 60% and counting now from the side of Lunaris. This is going to be match point and going to be setting the ball in motion for which one of these teams should be earning of their seed. It's, remember, seed number 2 against seed 15. So Lunaris has everything to lose here when it comes to the clouds. 70% now. This is all on Team Nova Scotia to make this big heap and make their way to the point.
And they're about to have Deadeye, maybe Bongos online as well. They should have some ultimates to help them take back this point, but Pure coming very close to the Shatter. Tricky Zerg down, though.
Yeah, Shatter comes out as well from Pure. Maywall is there. High Noon coming out from Thunders in the back. Needs to find a few with this to make something happen. Ant Matrix is through. Sluggo's doing a good job of keeping everybody alive from the side of Lunaris. Has built up another Ant Matrix in doing so. 99%, and it's not looking good for the side of Nova Scotia.
It's just back and forth a little bit. There's a little bit of trade out here, but I mean, Titan able to find 3 kills there. But Sluggo gets a double kill and ends it there. A valiant effort from Titan to try and clutch that out with 3 kills at the end with that hammer, but just not enough that he could do. I think we saw it throughout that entire Lijiang Tower map. Is we saw Team Nova Scotia start off strong on every single round. And then outside of Control Center, outside of Night Market, they kind of faded away. So we've seen from our underdog in Team Nova Scotia that they have the tools, they have what it takes to make everything work and make everything run like a well-oiled machine. They just have to put it together and do it for an extended period of time. So if they can get that, they're definitely in a good spot. But Lunaris goes up 1-0, they take Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, one thing that I'm going to credit to Nova Scotia is that they're winning the first fight. On every single map, they were the first per people to take the possession, which means that when it comes to fighting the neutral, they have the edge, which is such an important part of Overwatch is when you have no ultimates to work with, you're just relying on your pure fundamentals. Nova Scotia is still finding the edge in these fights. But once the ultimates get involved, and we're talking about investment, ultimate economy, it looks like Lunaris is doing a better job keeping their eye on the ball, playing the long game, making sure they're not using too many ultimates, often having a lot of ultimates to work with on the defense when they are in possession of the point. If Nova Scotia can analyze that match and think about how they're using their ultimates and how they're playing the long game, I think they have what it takes to bring this to be a really close series, if not take it all together.
I agree. Honestly, I think from a 2 seed and a 15 seed, if you watch March Madness, the NCAA tournament, you know that very rarely does a 15 seed upset a 2 seed, and very rarely does it start off being a good game. Round one, or excuse me, the first map, Lijiang Tower, went 3 rounds, a great back and forth from both teams. This is definitely going to be a fantastic game. So don't go anywhere. We will be coming back right after this short break. So please don't go anywhere. Map 2 coming up next.
And we're back. The Solstice Esports Solstice Showdown. It's Lunaris once again up against Team Nova Scotia. Lunaris has taken the first map on Lijiang, as we will be heading into the next map, and it's going to be Rialto.
Heading to Rialto, we should see some unique compositions. We see a lot of meta compositions that don't tend to have flight heroes in them. By that I mean Echo and Pharah. We did see some Echo on Gardens in round 1 of Lijiang Tower, but hopefully getting to see some more of it here. There's a plenty of sightlines here for the Pharah, but that also means there's plenty of sightlines here for some snipers. We've seen Ashe being played a lot more at the pro level and at the tier 2 and tier 3 levels. Widowmaker, not so much. Ashe is, since her buff a little while back, has been able to deal out more consistent damage, and that dynamite just helps build up her ultimate fast. You can compare ultimates of Bob and Infrasight. I think many people would just say they're a complete wash. Bob is a point staller, and Infrasight basically just stalls the enemy for 15 seconds, which can be useful in some cases, but for the most part, they just stand there and you get no value out of it. So I'm interested to see what happens. We have seen also a lot of different and unique support matchups. I'm pretty sure we saw 3 different support lineups throughout 3 different rounds on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, we saw the Ana, the Baptiste, Brig, Lucio. Really diverse. Oh, really diverse hero pools. But going back to that point of the Widowmaker versus Ashe matchup, because it looks like we are going to be seeing it here. Definitely a great treat is that when you have that Mercy damage boost on the Ashe, you don't have to wait the recoil time that Widowmaker has to charge up her bullets before she can get that one-shot kill. She has so many chances to get it right. Not to mention that she can jump while in scope. To maybe potentially help throw off the enemy's aim. You can move a little bit faster while you're in scope than Widowmaker can. Your field of vision isn't as restricted. But the big difference maker is that you need that Mercy to be on you to make it happen. We're watching with Light here. He's looking for the snipes. It's a nice halt onto the fair. A nice accretion from Pure is going to take Debug out of the sky.
I think what's interesting here is the matchup between Light and Thunder. You talked about it really quickly.
Immediately on the Widow.
As we see Thunder switch over to the Widow. If you watch the Valiant versus the Florida Mayhem over this past weekend, as Light cracks Dr. Grimm's head, Thunder's trying to take an off angle here. It was the battle between BQB and KSP. They went back and forth as BQB came out on the Ashe and realized that wasn't going to work as Light pops Thunder's head directly off. And then BQB on the offense switched over to the Widowmaker to try and contest the defensive Widow, and that's what Thunder's doing, but Light came out on top in the first battle, already 70% of the way to Infrasight.
Yeah, even if you aren't winning the Widow matchup, just giving the Widow something to focus on, because if you're a Widowmaker and there's an enemy Widowmaker on the enemy team, it's your job priority first to take her out. So you can't focus on getting the supports or easier targets. Thunders will win that matchup there, but Volby is in a very difficult spot here, getting very low. It's all up to Noctis to keep him alive as the shields are breaking. Double shield composition here from both sides. Tuna, though, will find a pick, and it looks like this flank that Team Nova Scotia is trying to do on that extra bridge to the left-hand side for the defenders. It's just not working. There's no cover on that side. If you're going to go there, you need to make sure that they're not paying attention. But it looks like the side of Lunaris, they're watching their flank quite well.
So you're running the double shield, and I think you would just take the double shield matchup directly in front, let Thunders go on the flank. Debug, I don't really know what the Echo is specifically accomplishing here unless you're diving into the backline. Trying to find Sluggo as Dr. Grimm falls once again to Light. What a shot. Pure.
Nice hold combo there. Light finding another one. His team helping him out. He's got this Infrasight here to work with as well as they push up onto Nova Scotia that are now trying to flee. You see that Lunaris, after that first win, they've got the momentum and they are here in the driver's seat. The side of Team Nova Scotia can't even get out of the spawn here, Chizzy.
And what's not going to help them get out of the spawn is the fact that Lunaris has 6 ultimates online. So this isn't good. Thunders does pop the Infrasight, but then Light counteracts it with the same. So both Widows pop the Infrasights. Everyone knows where everyone is at all times for the next 10 seconds. As Titan falls, that's not a good start as the off tank for Team Nova Scotia already dead.
Yeah, but look at the interesting positioning here from the side of Lunaris. They're trying to take full advantage of this hotel building and split up all around it, make it their territory. Light finding another matchup, winning again. As the Tricky Zerg is so out of position there, they can't quite make up the ground. Although they have the double shield to work with, it's just such a long straight before they're within range to do anything that all their shields are gone by the time they're in striking distance. Debug, though, does find a pick on the tail end. That's potentially an opening if they can regroup quickly.
It was interesting. So Debug was kind of caught out and was trying to reset. He was 5 HP, killed Tuna with that beam, but Titan falls. Titan seems to be the first one falling in these team fights. I don't know if it's just too much aggression right now, but you need to, if your Team Nova Scotia reset, you're about to have 30 seconds left. You have 5 ultimates. Force out Transcendence with Titan's Gravitic Flux. Drop the the Amp Matrix and the Supercharger at the same time. Just deal as much damage as you can. Get an opening pick and at least push this around the corner.
Yeah, here's the Flux from Titan. He's going to get stunned out of it. The rocks from the side of Pure have been absolutely insane. Titan, they do it back at it. Both of these Sigmas are getting the better of their counterpart here, not letting anyone ult. Here's the Supercharger coming in from Volby. Duplicate Tuna finds the shot onto Widow, but Light will finish off the pick onto Thunders, make that 2 onto Titan as well. Trance coming out here from the side of Dr. Grimm. It's final fight as Overtime Wick is burning down, but the picks need to be coming through from the side of Team Nova Scotia. Sluggo finds a nice double on the back.
Sluggo with 3 to finish it off, 2 onto the supports, I believe, with the help from Bolby on that halt. The unsung hero always is the Orisa, but the big unsung hero here, Bolby. These halts he's been setting up for his team, whether it be headshots, sticky bombs, Zen volleys, you name it, accretion rocks. They've been on point. Great teamwork here from Lunaris, and now, I mean, they got to push it less than 50 meters. They have to go around one bend. So, I mean, if you're Nova Scotia, it's one fight and you're done. Like you're defending right across this bridge, and if you lose a fight, that's game over. We're moving on to map 3, and you're down 2-0. So this has to be a historic hold here from Team Nova Scotia. It can definitely be done, but I think what needs to be done is Thunders needs to win this Widow battle against Light. I believe he only won one single matchup here. So another thing, looks like they're switching over to a double shield with a Reinhardt now. So Titan potentially going to be living a little longer. Sigma 400 HP with the shield, Rein 500 with armor, and a longer shield that lasts longer as well. So I'm interested to see if Titan lasts longer. Maybe Sigma isn't his comfort hero. Maybe Reinhardt is. So moving in here, and I think something interesting that we see. Oh, Tuna, you mean person. I was hoping to see the classic pirate ship come out, but Tuna, alas, has switched off onto the Echo.
Yeah, I think the advantage of having the Reinhardt here in the close quarters is going to be wrong, especially how quickly it should be for him to build up these Earth Shatters with everyone having to play really close. We're watching with Tuna here as the Echo battle will commence. Both will retreat on the tail end of that. They don't quite have the healing to support them, but Dr. Grimm with the Harmony Orb should give the advantage over to Debug in the time that matchup happens. Pure, we're watching him on the high ground here as he tries to get some damage onto the back line. Sigma can function a lot like Junkrat in that way, operating completely on his own, trying to find some damage onto Exalted. The Echo is quite there to try and defend him, but on the payload, all the damage is coming onto the tank's Discord Orb, doing so much damage. Here's an early shatter like I talked about from Titan. So easy to build them up as they funnel into these tiny spaces for the fire strikes and the swings in turn. Doesn't look like it found too much. It's very hard to get the shatters into those blocks, but like you said, Light finds a pick onto Dr. Grimm. Thunder falls as well as they flank around the back with the Amp Matrix. Beautiful play from the side of Lunaris as they find the last few picks. They just have to get on the point now, and this map should be through.
Like, they have families. Stop. This man on Rialto, maybe Lijiang was just a warm-up map for him, but my God, he absolutely destroyed on Rialto with both sniper heroes, with Widowmaker on defense and then Hanzo on attack. It took him a little longer to get that first and opening pick, but my goodness, what a great job there from Light. Winning that battle, making sure that he was the dominant force. I mean, the carry there for his team, but not to be forgotten is Sluggo doing a fantastic job on support, and then Bolby with those halts on Orisa. A great all-around team win there. Lunaris goes up 2-0 in the series.
Yeah, Arisa's Halt is often, argued to be one of the most frustrating abilities in Overwatch just because of how powerful it is, especially at these well-coordinated attacks. If you're an Arisa that's communicating, getting high-value halts like we saw throughout that entire map, it's just absolutely oppressive for the enemy team. You can't flank as a Widow. You can't flank as a dive hero. You can't misposition as a tank. All of a sudden, you're halted, you're rocked, you're stunned, you're hooked. It's like the constant meme. The CC comes through and you can't escape because of that halt, interrupting so many types of movement abilities and channeled abilities in Overwatch. Like you said, Bolby really coming out for his team. But one thing I want to talk about is the Sigma matchup. We talked about how maybe we weren't seeing a lot from Titan when he was trying to aggress. It's very difficult for Sigmas to play on the offense because their Sigma shield can fall so quickly. And one key thing to note is while using either of his other abilities, his kinetic grasp or his accretion, you can't put up the shield. You can only recall it. So if you misposition that shield and you try and opt to go for your kinetic grasp, that shield is going to be gone. So you need to force it down. And if you force it down, you're going to be eating an accretion from the enemy Sigma. So the Sigma versus Sigma mind games could not be more intense. Always trying to cancel out each other's kinetic grasp with accretion, trying to make sure that you block your accretion with shield. But if you're doing a kinetic grasp yourself, you can't put the shield up. So you desperately need to rely on that Orisa player to make the difference happen. And although Titan might have not seen a lot of value on the Sigma, I think what's really causing this matchup to be difficult is the Orisa matchup. Bolby on the Orisa getting so much more value than Tricky Zerg, really struggling.
I think the big thing there you touched on it was the tank difference, and you talked about I think Rialto is a decent map for Sigma. That's just me personally. On first point, there's plenty of spots to hide once your shield breaks down, but once you get into those open areas of Rialto, for example, once you get around those first two corners of Rialto, that courtyard area, there's nowhere for Sigma to hide when his shield goes down. And he doesn't have an ability like Orisa to fortify and take less damage. Yes, does have kinetic grasp, but it only does so much sometimes. And if the opposition stops shooting you, well, then you don't gain any health. So all you're doing is recharging that shield. Yeah, it could get interrupted altogether, like you said. So it's just Sigma is really tough, I think, there. And I wonder if that, Tricky Zerg stayed on that Orisa, but if they maybe ran Titan on that Reinhardt to begin with, are we still maybe playing on Rialto right now? Because they might have pushed it further and we might still be going on that map. So I find that interesting, and I hope Titan, if Ryan is the comfort pick and Sigma isn't, run the comfort pick. I've never been a fan of teams telling players that on heroes they're not comfortable with to play those heroes, because you can easily substitute in a Reinhardt for a Sigma. Yes, you get less poke damage, but you have more shield presence than the opposition, and you have the ability to push forward and stand still with that Orisa. So I personally, I like the Rein pick more than the Sigma sometimes. So if that's the comfort pick, man, take the comfort pick. There's no need to be pushing a Sigma onto someone when Reinhardt, I mean, you don't have to aim with him. Half the job is hold left click, and W. Like that.
All right,
that's half your job.
let's not devalue the intricacies and brain power required.
It's half your job
To be an incredible Ryan player. The mind games, the blocking of the shatters,
listen, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I pride myself. I mean, I'm not like a high level Reinhardt by any means, but I enjoy playing Reinhardt. I do believe he takes a lot of skill, but when you break it down bare bones, you hold W and hold down left click. That's
That's
to me,
a Reinhardt's dream, to be able to only left click, of course. But of course, it all depends. There's so many different circumstances. Of course, Reinhardt, he has the advantage of having all armor as opposed to Sigma, who just has a little bit of shields and can afford to be a bit more aggressive with the, of course, the caveat of having no range to his name besides potentially a fire strike. But fire strikes can usually be hard to get final blows, considering the type of damage and the easy to dodge projectile. But that being said, we're going to a Reinhardt playground map. We are going to be heading to Kings Row Titan. Looks like he's got the Reinhardt on insta-lock.
Oh, baby. Yes. One of the best maps in the game for Reinhardt. The best map in general. Only built to serve. It says on the wall, no bots. That is something related to Overwatch lore. If you are new to the game, new to watching, first, welcome. Second, I highly recommend you read up on the lore. It is absolutely fantastic. You get to understand this game a little better, understand the heroes in this game a little better as well. Team Nova Scotia coming out with a McCree, May, and a Lucio, along with a Baptiste instead of a Zenyatta. On the opposition, Light and Tuna running the Ashe and Echo, an interesting combination as well. Looked like Nova Scotia opting to go into the hotel, potentially looking to wrap around the back completely.
Yeah, they want to take the high ground from them completely. They don't want to let them set up on the high ground. It's honestly an amazing play by Nova Scotia. And you saw the patience there when they were going through that main choke. They wanted to wait for the shields to recharge the full, and they're doing the full Monty here, taking out Light on the high ground. They knew that he was someone they had to deal with from the previous match, and they wanted to deny him any chance at the high ground. That hotel from the previous matchup on Rialto was uncontested there. They had a hard time breaking those damage dealers set up on the top, and look at this. They said, you know what? We can't be afraid of the high ground. We need to take it for ourselves. But Sluggo does find one onto Dr. Grim, but Discord has been strong, bringing down the tanks. Titan falling very low, is forced into the corner now. Tricky Zerx has already fallen in turn, and despite the amazing play, they lost their footing towards the end, and Nova Scotia crumbles.
The fact that Bulby was alive during that fight just speaks to the fantastic Baptiste play of Noctis there. He should have died. He had 5 enemies shooting at him. He should have died every single elo. Bronze all the way to top 500. He should have been dead. A great job there from Noctis with a great use of the immortality field with the
look at this. They're going up to the high ground again, but they're taking a much quicker route because they know where they are set up now. They're going with the main wall to block off the defenses and stake the high ground right from the main stairs. There's the accretion gone now. They're probably just waiting for a few crucial cooldowns to come back, like the May wall specifically, as they rush the high ground in turn. Nice fire strike will take out Sluggo. Both supports down now. It should be basically easy pickings. And once they drop down onto the point, they're looking like they're just making sure they don't give any opportunity for them to retake the high ground. As Thunders, he takes his position up there on the high ground to defend it. You're going to see Tuna is going to be on the duplicate, finding the Ryan, trying to find the Shatter. Isn't able to build one up, though, as the progress continues to build for the side of Nova Scotia. A minute and a half remaining as the payload, or the objective looks like it might flop, but just as I say that, Bulby is back with the Supercharger.
Pops the Supercharger, Fortify on the point again. This is the Bulby and Noctis.
They're not shooting
right
the Supercharger. Oh my god, the damage is there. And look at this. Somehow Bulby and Noctis alone are keeping their toe on the objective. They've got the MHs as well. Here's the extra healing in turn as we head into the minute remaining mark. Something has to happen from Nova Scotia for these Canadians to make the favor go into their way. Here's the Supercharger in turn. Gravitic Flux and the Trance coming out from... But a huge high noon for Thunders that's going to find 3 on the high ground. He never got off the high ground from the rotation. He was laying in so much damage, but he falls and dies in turn. Under a minute remaining now. This is basically the Canadians' last big chance at making something happen, and they used everything in the tank to make that last push. It's basically all down to first fight fundamentals now, with the closest thing to work with potentially Exalted's Amp Matrix.
Oh boy, is this infuriating to watch. 2 supports last fight, and you don't take it. A triple kill off a Deadeye, and you still don't take it. 30 seconds left. These guys, final chance here. Exalted popping the Amplification Matrix, but Thunder's already down.
Yeah, Tuna switching onto the Doomfist, a great swap by him. He's able to get the drop and get the surprise attack as he tries to make it onto the tanks. And there's a nice recovery as well as he retreats back to the team. 10 seconds remaining here for the side of Nova Scotia to touch the point. The Canadians in a very difficult position to be in right now. It doesn't look like anyone can touch, and just with that 79.7%. Not a bad effort. You could tell that the thinking was solid, but the execution wasn't quite there. You could tell that the Nova Scotians are a very tactical team. They clearly have everything thought through. The communication seems to be good for the most part, and their set plays are very intelligent. There's no denying that. But when it came to their follow-through, under pressure, Lunaris, they just had a little bit of the edge. And, we talked about, the big high noon and these other big flashy things that happened, but they happened too late. From the side of Nova Scotia speaking, that 3-man high noon happened when almost every other member of Nova Scotia was either low or already forced to retreat because of the presence of, once again, Light on the Ash. He's able to, once he falls off the high ground, he's getting back quickly. He's finding the picks. The halt dynamite is not going contested. And although it looked like they had these great openings, the focus fire just wasn't there.
Tell me I'm wrong, because I'm no high elo player in any rights. But when you kill both supports, shouldn't you make and mosey your way on to the point like immediately after you kill them and press the advantage to where, they killed both supports and it took them like 5 to 7 seconds for someone to touch the point. So that's basically the spawn time for then the supports to start walking back. So it's like I felt like they just didn't capitalize on the advantages that they created for themselves. So I was a little confused. It was really tough to watch to see Sluggo and Noctis switching back over onto the Zen Baptiste combination. I really don't know. Double sniper on the side of Team Nova Scotia. Titan back onto the Sigma. It's basically if Noctis can win one fight, they are set up in a really good position, and Thunders is already dead.
Yeah, it was a nice hold discord combo there from Bulby. Everyone off the high ground as well. You can really tell that he's got a mastery of this hero. And once again, we're seeing Pure flank with the Sigma. We saw them do this before. It seems to be an interesting strategy. Is able to get himself into a really punishing position, giving it a hard time to the side of Nova Scotia to recontest the point, forcing the lamp out in a tricky position there. As, look, you saw it was happening, but the Orisa wasn't contesting the point while Valley out of that lamp. It was too far in that room. Tuna finding a few more picks on the tail end as the progress starts to build up. And this time, it was much cleaner than Nova Scotia's attempt. I'd be surprised if anyone's able to touch. And just like that, it looks like this will be a clean 3-0 for the side of Lunaris.
A great win there from Lunaris. I think the biggest difference to me, I don't think it was team communication, because I think Nova Scotia came in really prepared. It's just maybe they stuck to their guns too much and didn't try to do different things and adapt. And then I think just on the side of Lunaris is they capitalized on the advantages given to them or that they took from Team Nova Scotia, whereas Team Nova Scotia, like I had said, you kill both supports, you don't take advantage of it. Thunder's got a 3K Deadeye. Yes, was half of your team already dead? Sure, but you still have the advantage there in terms of spawns, and I don't know. I felt like there was so much opportunity for Team Nova Scotia to take advantage of, and I felt that they weren't taking as good advantage of it. That was poor English, but I think you understand what
I think I
I'm
understand
saying.
what you're trying to say. One thing I would have been interested to see from Nova Scotia is them honing in on what were clearly their strengths from this match. They seemed to do their best when they were playing. Well, they opened very strong on the dive on the first map of Lijiang, and then when they played the sim strategy, they did very well with that. Maybe
Yeah.
they could have incorporated a teleporter into their aggression instead of having to do these long, time-consuming rotations. As strong as they were, when they don't work, it's a lot of time out of the time bank. Potentially, you could have had 2 or 3 fights in the time that it took them to set up one of these more elaborate pushes when they didn't fall through in the end. Really disappointing stuff for the side of Nova Scotia fans. Canadians like myself all weep at the results of this match. But you could tell that they had a solid head on their shoulders. They definitely did come with the right intentions, but it just came down to the simple, maybe one-on-one matchups that were happening between the DPS, between the tanks. It looks like Lunaris just had the edge. Maybe the communication was there. Had a lot to do with Bulby showing up on the Orisa, the Baptiste. From Lunaris as well, getting those lamps, the immortality fields, to have more value than his opposition. But I would have loved to see them try something else. Playing into the double shield on offense is incredibly, incredibly difficult. And especially considering the fact that Lunaris got to defend both times in those 2 matches, that could have been the difference maker. Maybe if they were off on offense first, we could have seen a very different series. But just attacking to that point A was so difficult for the side of Nova Scotia to work through. Potentially if they tried something else, of course, double shield is really presenting itself to be the meta, as shields can be so oppressive. But there are ways to take it down. You can work around Wrecking Ball. You can try and make some sort of dive happen. You can do something sneaky with teleports as well. Try and get your Rhine. You can do Rhine Sigma, scrap the Orisa altogether. That finds itself a lot of value as well. But unfortunately, it's going to be back to the drawing board for the side of Nova Scotia. Team Lunaris, really impressive stuff so far as they will take the last seat here in the winner's bracket. Moving on here in the Solstice Showdown.
Yeah, they will move. I believe that's on to the Elite Eight, as many would consider it. A great job there. Our next match is going to be tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That is 8 p.m. It's going to be the number 9 seed Cryx Esports going up against the number 16 seed Dogs Noodles. So 9 going up against 16. This should be a fantastic matchup to watch. So be sure tune in for that tomorrow. But one more time wrapping up this match here. Again, just looking at it, I don't really know, outside of capitalizing on opportunities, what Team Nova Scotia could have done differently. I feel that they had damage dealers that were, at least somewhat up to snuff. Yes, did light pop off in moments, of course, but I think, overall up to snuff. I think in terms of, carry heroes, I think they had them. So
Yeah, I think Nova Scotia, this really isn't their meta. I think the shield comps are just a little too slow. They seem to thrive, like I said, in the neutral. That first fight that happened on King of the Hill, they won every single time that first fight. So when things are a little more hectic, when the enemy team can't bunker themselves up against a corner, that's when the side of Nova Scotia really gets to play. We saw Rain. He had an incredible tracer. I would have loved to see more of that. Of course, those more narrow type maps, Rialto and Kings Row, not the right position for it. Maybe it's time that Nova Scotia consider expanding their roster, picking up another DPS player that has one more element of flexibility, or maybe they just need to scrim a little bit more, play against tougher teams like Lunaris to increase their skill set. But you could tell that they had a lot of great stuff to work with. Just didn't seem to fall through this one time. Lunaris, they got the edge, but I'll be rooting for both of them as they continue on in their esports journeys. But it's going to be Lunaris that we're going to be seeing a lot more of here in the Solstice Showdown.
Yeah, and one more time tomorrow, 9 seed Cryx Esports against the 16 seed Dogs Noodles. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. And then at 10 p.m. Eastern, number 12 seed Neon Sunset goes up against the hometown favorites, Solstice Esports, the 13 seed. And then after that, it'll be June 26th will be the next matchup. That heads into the winner's bracket. It'll be the first seed Region going up against the 8 seed in Cloak. So for Eden Ocean, I am Chizzy Fizzy. I'm reversing the roles here, Eden. I'm doing the sign off because power.
By all means.
I have the power. For Eden Ocean, I am Chizzy Fizzy, T-Dad behind the scenes. This has been the Solstice Esports Solstice Showdown. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, for our next matchup. We will see you then.